All right, good morning, guys. Quick sound check. How's everybody doing this morning? Sorry, grabbing this link now. Little late on my part. All right, sweet. Well, that sun is bright coming in there. All right. We got about 15 seconds here until the bell, and we'll kind of run through as soon as market opens the thought processes here on the day. But we do have a couple levels in place to kind of pay attention to, and I'm not necessarily like too overly zealous to really do too much today. In terms of W, no, it's Meta making the move. I do think Meta makes a pretty decent move at some point this week, probably today now, the way it looks. We've got this 866.50 level in place for the NASDAQ, which we obviously just got a pretty decent pop from there as well. We've got the 68.56.25 level for the S&Ps, which is also getting a little bit of love here now. And then in terms of the Dow, we've got this 734 level in place, which we are currently, testing essentially right at that level now. So, yes, above 866s on NASDAQ, like we potentially could be bullish here and we could see a nice move. I just want to kind of let that prove itself a little bit more here than just, this initial move, right off the open there. So we still technically have the Dow kind of under the level. S&Ps are under their level. So I wouldn't be too surprised if this first initial like morning rally is just a shake, and that could potentially turn into something that's a much larger move back to the downside. On the other hand, if we do hold it, we do get some type of divergence from a long perspective, then I'm open to that. But I think that first initial move is going to be nothing more than just a shake here. So that's why I'm not necessarily too concerned by having to press a button like first thing here. And we're kind of seeing that now, out of S&Ps, out of Dow. We'll get that first initial pop and then kind of see where the dust settles once it actually, kind of starts to chill out for a bit. Gold here, trying to make the push back up through. Silver, kind of same thing there. Tesla making a nice move. Meta, same thing. I don't know if we can get by with. That's what these options are again. Yeah, they're more expensive today. Even the 0 DTE 675s are like 80 cents. There's that little initial pullback here we were kind of talking about for the Dow. So we've got a 230 point range so far, 3 minutes into the day here for the Dow. So quick little spike up through and over the level, and then now essentially kind of pulling back here. So Russell, same thing. What's up, Joe? So far, NASDAQ only market to really get up through these levels. And I mean, we got nice moves happening here out of Netflix, Nvidia, Tesla with a big move, Meta with a decent little pop there. So it kind of makes sense. S&Ps have rejected this level essentially twice here in pre-market. We did talk about this the other day too, where like the possibility where we see kind of a leader change again back to like S&Ps, NASDAQ. I don't remember if that was, I think that was sometime last week we were kind of talking about that. Certainly possible here. Yeah, coin with a nice move. Up 20 bucks here. Bitcoin was moving though. I saw that in pre-market session. We were up like 3,000. Now we're up 4,000. My charts are slow. Like slow. Holy cow. Changes to the S&Ps. Goodness gracious. All right. NASDAQ is coming back down here towards 866s. Again, anybody that got super overzealous, first thing this morning, we got that pop across the board through yesterday's highs in all markets. And now essentially coming back down. I mean, it's about a 100-point pullback basically at the moment. Do we look to get long off 866s, or do we try and let it go through lows first and come back up? I think the second move is probably going to be better, honestly, if we allow it to kind of pull back, trade through, and then maybe push back up through later. There is a little bit of news at 10 o'clock. I think it's like ISM or something that was on the calendar if you pull up Forex Factory. So, yeah, 10 o'clock ISM services. I don't really know that that'll be a big mover, but it is a red impact news folder, so at least need to be aware of it. Dow kind of trying to get a little something. I wouldn't necessarily be opposed. Again, I don't think we have to do anything until probably after 10, realistically. I wouldn't be opposed to an S&P long idea over the open to try and see if we can't push through those 56s up there. But at the same time, we still do have lower levels yet to get tested. We kind of front ran that 277s yesterday. Yeah. If we're gonna fail, this is the way in which we fail, is just that push through and then immediately get rejected, which we've done so far. And we'll probably try and fake some people in for some longs and then get back under 866s. So we're kind of in that spot where it's like, all right, we can do that. So one of two scenarios, right, is we reject off this 56s up here for S&Ps. We reject off the 734s for the Dow, which we've done, both of those. NASDAQ pushes through 866s, pulls back to try and hold, rallies initially then, right, which is kind of where we're at now. So we have two of those three things in place. We'll try and capture and suck in some new longs and then get absolutely smacked under 866s. And then that takes us lower essentially for the rest of the day, right? Like that's scenario number one. Scenario number two is that 866s holds here. We get the divergence, which we're now putting in a green arrow here on the Dow. We're putting in a green arrow on the S&Ps. And then we managed to, be able to hold here, push back up through, and then look for longs to take this to essentially wherever it wants to go. I mean, there's like give or take 400 points maybe for the Nasdaq to want to rally. We're up about 100 on the day, 102 right here. So like that's scenario number two. Which of the two is going to be the case for today? I'm not necessarily leaning one direction or another. I think the downside's probably more realistic, which also kind of sucks. But I don't really want to fight that weekly at the same time now. So I would prefer though if NASDAQ kind of came back down, got new lows on the day, and then later on we were able to get back up through these 866s and then do something. But if you want longs and you think we're going to go higher today, you think we're going to go back up through, essentially 25 100s and continue to push from there, then this is about as good a spot as any. I'm not pushing that button at the moment, but this would be your spot. This would be your time to shine. We kind of lean a little bit more towards the first rejection being something that I don't necessarily want to kind of fight. NASDAQ trying to push back up through now. Like I said, if you're wanting longs, This is your time to shine. Again, I think we probably cracked these lows at some point. And there's no real reason to like rush this at the moment. That's kind of my thinking. If I was a bear though, which in essence I kind of am on the day, I really don't even know where or when I would get short though is the problem. Overnight lows are down here at 24,500. They're like 350 points lower. So it's not to say we can't get there. The Dow's getting closer. It's 130 points away from it or so. I've seen this movie before though, and it's like it's not fun to try and fight back into that move from yesterday. Like it's probably one of the least enjoyable types of scenarios, right? But I've also seen it where we kind of come down, we finally essentially do what we're doing now in NASDAQ. We're going to try and push back over 866s here at some point. How far can we push? I don't know. Maybe we trade up to 897s to like 907s. So give or take 30, 40 point pop above the level. You know, we just traded down into 826s, so we pushed 40 points through the level. So again, if I was a bear, a rejection from that area would probably be of interest, somewhere up around basically call it 24,900s. But I would prefer getting back under the level in order to look for that. But I just don't think it's going to be clean either way. All right, so this is the next part of that scenario kind of playing out, right? We did come down, we found those new lows for NASDAQ. We're getting that pop. We're kind of right up into the area which we were just talking about, right up here about 907s. We've traded 908 so far. We're putting in a green bar essentially kind of across the board. And if we are to then hold, I think one thing that we could see here, we got about 12 minutes to go before that news, is we could technically see a news spike back down into 866s, depending on where, like, we hold up kind of somewhere up in here over the next like 12 minutes. If we do that and we manage to hold lows and we can get S&Ps back over opening print, then I would be open to that idea, right? But now this is that spot where it's like, okay, yeah, we traded 919s. Okay, give me a break. We went 10, 12 points kind of through where I was thinking maybe we could push to. We got a decent little pullback there, just traded 869s. So about 50 point pullback just now, right? So these ranges are rather large. And if we leave a topping tail in here on this 5-minute bar, it's going to kind of change things. We have about 11 and a half minutes. I mean, I'm sitting here like, essentially just chilling. There's no other real way to explain it at the moment. We just kind of got to let this start to play out. We're getting a little bit of a, I see gold at the bottom of my screen over here, 51.55, getting a little bit of a dump. Silver's 83.65s. Bitcoin 71.90s there. Nice little pop back up now in NASDAQ. S&P's just traded right back into opening print there. So again, the thing in which I want to see, and we're getting rejected off that so far now. We're getting a decent pop out of things like Nvidia, Amazon, AMD. Those don't necessarily seem to care at the moment. Meanwhile, kind of Tesla, Netflix, Apple fading just a bit. I don't know that there's really anything to take from that unless you're looking for longs. Then obviously those three, Amazon, AMD, Nvidia, could potentially be on the list. Disregarding what the rest of the charts looks like, I'm just talking about the last like 10-15 minutes, what they've done. S&P is trading off this 38.75 opening print now, which is not the greatest of things that we'd want to see. NASDAQ right back down into this 866s here. We still got about 9 minutes to go here till this 10 o'clock news. Probably could have held a little bit better. Russell Dow quite possibly could make new lows, and that will give us another little divergence we could potentially look for longs from. I'd still be a little bit more comfortable though with S&P's over opening print, those 38s. NASDAQ sitting right on these 866s though. This is probably a better long opportunity now than previously in the NASDAQ. Coming off those 866s, I think we traded 865.50s. Still no trigger, no nothing though, so I'm not necessarily pushing buttons, but Russell here. And I guess, I mean, we pushed up into 935s, so my 907s might have been a little off, but again, there's nothing technically up here to work with. Russell almost made new lows there. Same for Dow. S&P 68.31s. If you want to be a little aggressive, again, we're in front of that news announcement. It's like a 10-point stop though on the S&Ps, which makes it tough. The scenario in which we talked about though, with NASDAQ pulling down, getting those new lows, getting back above 866s, coming back to test it, all those things, that essentially just happened. Now, it happened a little bit quicker than I necessarily would have preferred given news in about 7 minutes here, but it is technically in place. And we were printing right down there like 875s when I said, hey, if that's your cup of tea, then that's the long opportunity there. Meta with a decent move. Let's see what Amazon's doing, bigger picture here. It's having a nice run. We did get an alert for Meta this morning on a gap over 657.41s. Amazon's pretty clear here though. Amazon's actually really clear. Pullbacks on Amazon. Yeah, pullback on Amazon today. As long as market's holding, look good for longs. I didn't have 657.41s marked out. Room to 674s. We front ran that level though a little bit. Five minutes here till that news. We could still get that little spike down into 866s here off the news announcement. It wouldn't really do anything to the chart. But we would have S&P sitting here right around opening print most likely. Room to push up through. I mean, if we get through 56s, I mean, there's kind of just room above. There's nothing. Nothing specific. Highs on the week, I guess, technically are 69.11s. It's either that or if you're into shorts, rejection off opening print here probably takes us lower. Meta about to put in new highs there. Unfortunately, those zero DTEs I think were much more expensive today than they were on Monday. These 675s are still about 85 cents here. 665s are like 420. But we probably had to 674 and a quarter. Gold just made new lows. About 3 minutes to go here till that news announcement. What's up, Nick? I'm certainly feeling better. I still got a little bit of that lingering cough. And I mean, I'm not going to be running essentially anywhere at the moment, but I can at least like walk up a flight of stairs and not about die from hacking up a lung. So we are making some improvements. I'm getting a little bit more sleep because I'm not waking up freaking 80 times a night from trying to kill myself on not breathing. That's honestly like one of the worst things. You get these little like coughing. I thought about filming one. Just like get these coughing fits and you can't do anything about it. Feels like you're about to yak up a lung. Nice, good work, guys. You got meta. I like the meta. I mean, 674s looks good. If Nasdaq continues here, I got about a minute and a half till that news. News shows 10:30. Nah, you looking at the wrong thing, my guy. 10 o'clock ISM forex factory. Yeah, we ain't looking at that. That's on there, yes, but no, that's not the one I'm looking at. About 45 seconds here now. Russell almost made new lows just now. One of the things I do want to see here. Yeah. Okay, not great. Yeah, I don't blame you. Dow kind of has a look like it's maybe trying to find a bit of a bottom here. S&P's first initial reaction is a little bit of a spike there. I'm not buying news on just a spike like that, obviously. And my charts are stuck, so I really can't see or do anything at the moment regardless. NASDAQ, I don't think made new highs. Yeah, my charts froze up for a second, so that's unfortunate. Amazon Meta, nice move. Yeah, NASDAQ, now my charts are back. 977s just made new highs there. Damn, I wish that Russell got a new low and set a divergence there. Dow should be kind of right up into opening print there, yeah. I'd like to see a pullback in S&Ps to opening print. There's nothing I can do with NASDAQ up here, unfortunately. We are about 100 points above that level, so if you took that 866 retest that I called out, that looks pretty good. The scenario in which we put together is starting to take shape for sure. Whether we can hold or not becomes a different question. NASDAQ is only market to make new highs. That's a high tick of 723. I don't mind the Dow, but S&P's no retest to 3875s yet. Dow obviously not through opening print. NASDAQ the only one making new highs. My charts are frozen again. There we go, coming back. Is anybody else having issues with toss today? Seems like over the last couple weeks, changing symbols has taken way longer than I would like it to. Maybe it's from streaming, I'm not sure. That's not the greatest of things you want to see here. If you're long NASDAQ, that is not the preferred thing to see here. Can we fight it off is a different question, but we could make that argument for S&P shorts potentially as well. This is an opposing divergence. I don't think that's the case, but the topping tail is not my favorite thing. S&P is back to 38s. The pullback is to 31. I'm not necessarily too excited to take something with a 10 or 12 point stop in the S&Ps here. Charts are glitchy slow again. Appreciate y'all for coming in and hanging out, though. If you have enjoyed the stream thus far, hit that thumbs up button. And subscribe if you haven't done so. A little duckio pop on here and squirt at you. I don't think I'll say anything else on that. Yes, join Lifetime as well. If you're a mentorship student and have not joined Lifetime, you should do so. Kind of like this Russell look. Not a huge fan of like a 6 or 7 point stop, but also what Joe said. If you have not taken the mentorship, what are you doing? I clicked to change the Dow like 5 seconds ago. There it is. S&Ps. I think I missed a little shimmy on the S&Ps there a minute ago after we got back over the open. Yeah, we pushed down to 36s. Yeah, that is unfortunate. I like longs. Again, we've got everything in place. Only thing we could have had was a little bit more of a divergence down there with Russell. That would have looked a little bit better, but we have everything else. Pushing back up to 68.56s now. Let's see if we can't push through those. NASDAQ's going to be the leader here, trying to push us on the day, holding above those 866s. Can clearly see that by percentage change on the day as well. It's up 0.95. Everything else up, well, less than half that essentially. So there's certainly some room to move. We'll see if we can't reject off this 56s here initially and see if we can't find an entry of sorts. And 2631s. I think Russell was the leader yesterday. That was the one to give us kind of the early signs as to what was taking place there down at lows. Today it's NASDAQ. NASDAQ being the clear leader here to the upside. And I would love just a quick little move back lower that gets bid right back up in the S&Ps off of 56s and then pushes through it. That would be ideal for an entry. A little push down maybe towards like 46s, give or take, I think would be nice. That might push Dow back down into opening print there as well, right around 660s. Russell is the laggard here. Here's that little push lower there. So let's see if we can't kind of push down towards 46s or so. What did we print there? 47s and change. Dow did trade off those 660s for opening print there. You could have longs in the Dow here as well. Grabbed a handful there. We didn't quite print 46s for S&Ps, but we might have finally got our entry here. Nice little bottoming tail there to 47s. We'll still leave that open for S&Ps at least to see if it wants to grab 46s one more quick time. But Dow looks good now. See if we can't push through those 734s. Little 2-minute 1, 2, 3 there for the S&Ps. And get a nice little push to 734s here for the Dow. Would be nice. Get that to move. Yes, thank you. Nice. Quick little first target here at 734s if you want it for the Dow. It's about 70 points here for us. We can push through. Those highs are 814. So that would be 815 for a new high print. We'll just go ahead and set an alert for that. Nice push through here in the S&Ps. S&Ps making new highs on the day. Some of the stronger names here that were on the board from a relative strength standpoint aren't necessarily moving quite as much um, as I would have expected them to now. Meta kind of stalled out here last 15, 20 minutes. Amazon kind of same thing. Nvidia kind of same thing there. Interesting to see that. I guess if we fail from here, that's not like... It's not great. I want to see this Dow continue to kind of push. Dow's the long end, which I have, right? So see if we can't push up through this 734s. 1015 here. There's room up into 49,295s. That's the thing in which has me at least interested here. Oh wait, this didn't mark right. Oh, goofies. 753 is the level. Damn, that didn't mark right. Okay, so we just tested the level. Now we need to push through that. That makes a little bit more sense now, the way we reacted. It's like 20 points off on that. That's my fault. There we go. That's better. Excuse me. Tesla came back with a vengeance there. Retest opening print, push in there. Russell trying to push opening print and through just a little bit here now. We are like 6 or 7 bars up here on a 5-minute chart for essentially Russell, Dow, everything at the moment. Again, if you haven't taken any profits on the Dow just yet, we should be up about 70, 75 points or so here coming off those opening print trades. So decent little move here. I want to try and see if we can't push this up through 814s. Like I said, the room in there is 295s, which from here would give us about, I don't know, give or take 540 points. Can we make that move is the question. I think what I'm going to go ahead and look to do is potentially look to put a trail in here and then let this thing do its work. So I'm going to put trails in at, let's call it 710. Might be a little bit too tight, but I think we'll be fine. We'll lock in a little bit there. Should be up about 85, 90 points on this now. Get back a little bit. I think it'll be okay. So yeah, I've got trails in place. You can have some profits locked in. You can pull some trails in now. Um, S&P is definitely doing better, obviously from 38s, that opening print now we're 62, so that'd be up, 24, 25 points or so. We don't quite have that, unfortunately, in the Dow at the moment, but we're going to remain patient because I do think there is a potential for 49,295s to trade. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm willing to give it the 40, 50 points back for a trail stop here to see if we can't capture that additional like 500 points. So, again, that's me. You don't have to do what I do, but I'm going to let it try and rock. So, nice work. Nice work. Either way, at the moment, we're locked in a green day. But nonetheless, we don't have to do anything else here. And we'll be walking away with some dollarinos for our time. All right, sweet. That took a couple little bit of time there. 1020 here now. Dow looking like it's going to go ahead and push up through, grab new highs here. There's the ding. Thank you. A little bit sad about the S&Ps. I wanted that 38. We kind of like marked like that whole trade we like mapped out damn near perfect. It's just a little tism showing through there. You gotta learn how to read that. That's what that is. You gotta think about it in the way that I was thinking about it. It's funny. Thanks, sir. Thanks, sir. Um. All right. All right. All right. I kind of want to take some of this. Kind of want to take some of this. Let me distract myself with something else. Now, anybody get the S&Ps from that 38 down there, opening print area? It was a little funky after the news, and then my charts were obviously being funky on top of that. So I don't know if anybody was able to grab that, but if you did, really nice work. Like I said, I think there's room. Weekly highs are like 69.11s here, and I think that's where we're at now. I think we're on the weekly chart. So, yeah, I think that's what we got room to. Damn, I really want to take some of this Dow. I haven't taken a trim yet in the Dow. I really want to take some. But I want just a little bit more. Can we get a little bit more? Just a little bit. Keep kissing and licking just a little bit. 10:24. Coming up on first hour here. Looks like Russell is about to make new highs here. 39.80s, 40.20s. We just did. Just did. It's a pretty solid move. I mean, we're 2, 4, 6, 8. Who do we appreciate? 8 bars to the upside here for Dow. That's 823 on that low. 823 on the low. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna take a little bit. I'll take a little bit there on the Dow. That was about 160. What we get? Okay. 161 points on first exit there for the Dow. You can look to trail the rest here. Anywhere up here, I think is fine. If you want to give it room, you got to give it back down into 753s here. I think in order to really do anything with it. But good first exit there. I was kind of hoping we'd press just a little bit further and I could get 200 points on a first exit. But then I realized I was being a bit of a dick for a tick because we were like 8 points away. So at least from my entry. But it'll probably still do it. Again, we've got, like I said, about 500 points worth of room from that 753s to go do it. So yeah, look to kind of hold on to some here, see if we can't get that big move. If you've got NASDAQ from 866s, you're now, what is this, 250 points, give or take. I think, right? Yeah. So should be good in there. We traded 818s on that pullback. Yeah, small pullback in Amazon there now and ripping. But yeah. There's 200 points in the Dow. Everybody should be happy, right? Sheesh. 38 on S&Ps would be up almost 50 points here. That is a move and a half. So yeah, nobody should be struggling today. Getting entries and all that was a little bit lengthy, I feel like, and we were kind of bobbing and weaving just a little bit, but overall I think we should all be happy, right? Can I get a W in the chat if you're having a good day? A W in the chat. Let me see where we at. Where are we at? www.com. No trade, just got here 10 minutes ago. Press the W to join the fun. That's unfortunate. That is unfortunate. Huge W. I like it. I like it. Well, 10:28 here. I think that's going to do it for me. We're going to keep the stream to essentially an hour today because that's all we needed. Like I said, NASDAQ's got room. That was clearly the stronger market on the day. It's up 1.5%. The Russell is next in line. It's up 1.14. S&P's here 0.85, and the Dow, somehow the one in which I go with, is up 0.61%. But I guess I can't necessarily complain. That trade was looking for me, it was about 25 points worth of risk. And first target there was 161 points. So like 6 hours, give or take on that. So I'm not necessarily upset by that in the slightest bit. And we'll see what else it wants to do here. But the NASDAQ certainly the mover. It's about 270. It's about, okay, so basically 300 points here. It's about to be. So yeah, for me, I'm done. I'm out. I'm rolling. And yeah, I think that's all we can do on the day. There's still a lot of room left, so if you still have some positions you want to look to hold, I would not necessarily blame you for that. Meta's going to be getting up close to that target here now. Good moves in, I mean, Google's actually now starting to participate, so some interesting moves across the board there. Total range on the day here for the Dow is about 500 points. That's crazy. And yeah, that's what I got. So if anybody listening has not taken the mentorship, there is a link in the description. Also, if you have not subscribed, do so. Thumbs up on this video, of course. And yeah, code MLT at all of your favorite prop firms. Appreciate the love and support there. And I'm gonna sign off for the day. 10:31. Yeah, Netflix has some room. It just made such a big move last week. Basically like wiping out like 42 weekly bars to the downside. So I'm going to give it just a little bit of time to digest that. But yeah. Anyways, great work today, guys. And it's like back-to-back bangers for the week. It's Wednesday. And yeah, we'll rock with that. So appreciate you guys. If you need me, reach out. Otherwise,